Hello, we are Bizak, and as Ray told me in the last one, I forgot to say, live life, don't let life live you. So we're gonna start this one off with that. So welcome back, welcome back. I got the three amigos here now. Ryan had to fly, but that's okay. We are thankful for his input. So what we're gonna do on this one on Pass the Mic, we're gonna talk a little bit about relationships. So these three great brothers, Ryan is also two, are married, committed men who've been with their significant others long periods of times. And so I don't want anybody beating me up. But from my perspective as a person who's single and who's never been married, so and that's what I would call single ladies. So if you're saying I'm single because I don't have no boyfriend, no, you're single because you're not married. All right. So it's only two questions on the test on the taxes and stuff. You're either single or you're married, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. And from my perspective, before I pass things around, because I did a podcast before talking about 50 and unmarried. Well, now I'm 51 and still unmarried, and that's okay because what I want to be able to do is that there's a couple of things. We always ask, what do we want out of a person? But we also need to ask, what do we need to do for ourselves to become better people to be in that situation? So that way, if something good does come along, you're prepared for that, as opposed to saying, hey, look, I want this great woman that does this, she does that, she has this, she has that, but I still want to run around in the streets. So, that's just my little thing. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna pass it off to one of the guys. And so, which one of you lovely guys wants to talk about any pertaining to what I just said first?
I give off some advice. I would say, nowadays, if you want to be in a relationship, it's more or less about sacrifice. And that's what a lot of people don't get about a relationship. And people always think settle, I'll settle for this or I won't settle for that. When everybody settles, actually the word settle is a positive word, actually. Like if you win a case, you get a settlement. If you get in a problem with somebody, you settle the beef. You see what I'm saying? So settle down is the old school word. And a lot of people look at that as you made it somewhere. So it's like you're not settling. Like you got to be careful with the wordplay and your verbiage because it affects how you look at things. Like when you feel like you're settling for someone who has flaws or they don't make what you need them to make or look how you need them to look, and you feel like you're settling, you're already putting a negative overtone on it. Everyone settles. Everyone settles. Like, and it's one of the words that could go either way. It's like a double-edged word, double-edged sword type of word. And when you look at things from a positive light, you're if you could settle with one person and get everything you basically want from that one person, that's definitely a good thing. So don't feel like you settling for this or you settling for that. Nah, settling is actually a good thing. And a lot of y'all, I'm gonna be 100% honest. In this day and times, a lot of y'all out there, male and female, you need to cut a deal. You need to make a deal with somebody. Like it might be just going half on your mortgage or half on your car notes, but it's time to make a deal. It's getting to the point. Like if you're looking at the numbers, people are really struggling out here. Now you can struggle with somebody or you can struggle by yourself. So, you kind of need to make a deal.
So let me ask you a question too, Des. Is it who you feel? Because a lot of times when I hear settle, I hear that's the thing that typically comes from the woman.
Yeah, it is. It is a typical, I would say it's not that it come from women. I think a lot of women buy into the negative side of settling for something. And so once again, like the last topic, social media plays a big part in that because you looking at a lot of stuff and you comparing your significant other to it, and you can't do that. Like you can't compare average man to LeBron James. Like you just can't. You can't expect what Savannah James is going to get. So to get off of social media, or you need to really understand that it's just entertainment at the end of the day.
I have given and I give a lot of advice to women that date or are dating. The one thing I would say is a couple things I would say. First of all, what you said about settling, that was powerful. I never thought of it like that. That was very include that in the next thing that I talk about when somebody talk about dating. But the one thing I want to say, the couple things I want to say is, baby girl, red flags don't turn green. Red flag, get out of there. They don't turn green. The other thing is, have some standards, but now I'm going to say, make those standards adjustable. Don't make them rock solid, hard standards because society changes. Y'all talk about social media and all that other stuff. If you have a certain standard and you have to reevaluate your standards or readjust your standards, be okay with that. Be okay with that.
Give an example, right? Of readjusting your standards.
Like if you are at a certain age, you say, "Oh, I don't want a guy that's been locked up." For instance, there's a lot of good men that were locked up under bad circumstances or were falsely accused, did their time, they're coming out, and they're very productive citizens. So you might want to adjust that standard. But if you're rock solid, well, I'll never want a man that's been locked up. I don't know. You never know what the situation was. But yeah, that's the one thing I would say. The red flags don't turn green, and make your standards adjustable.
Last question. I do have another question because, like I said, some women feel like, as Des was saying, settling, like the negative connotation of it. So for you, how did you know for you that your wife was the one?
I had some standards. I had some. I guess she filled in all the. She checked all the boxes at that time, and it was timing. Personally, I was in the middle. I was in the midst of dating, and it wasn't me. And I asked God to be. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I'm very spiritual. I said, God, if you send me a woman with no kids, with both her parents in the home, college educated, maybe I'll settle down. The next day, I met my wife, and you can't. I have to look at it. She was a blessing, so that's what I did. I just settled down after that.
My advice to ladies. Now, one thing I would say is that we got to discuss the age limit. What age limit are we talking about as far as women to want to that looking to get married? That's number one. Because as you know, people change. Life experience person. So you got to figure that first out. For the younger ones, I say if you can find somebody when you're young, jump into it, because y'all can kind of grow together. Y'all get those experiences together. Y'all kind of find, y'all can find your way together. The yin and yang thing kind of plays a better role. For the people that marry a little older, you can't let those life changes, those life lessons that you learn change you. You know what I mean? I know a lot of women harden up, because of bad dating choices or this guy was just wasn't right and this and other. And they kind of say, well, I could do it all by myself. You met a lot of women that think like that. I don't need a man or this and the other. And then when you come into them and you're a good man, you still got to deal with that pushback, and they're not submissive. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think number one, don't let those lessons in life change you, and try to be more submissive. Try to cater to your man a little bit more. You know what I mean? A man, we going to try to provide, and we're going to do the things around the house, this and other. Vice versa. If your man like a home cooked meal, cook him a meal, wash his clothes, do all those little things that make that men talk about being a wife. The one thing that men that go to work or trying to keep a happy household, when you come home, then just like women, they don't want to hear excuses. Well, I ain't cook. Well, I had to work all day or this and the other. Well, that's all part of the whole part of being married. Mm-hmm. So that's what I got to say on that one.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Yeah. We'll wrap that up. I would say as far as standards and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm kind of old school, whereas though we kind of just did it off of who we liked. And I mean, I feel so sorry for the younger generation that y'all got all this stuff y'all looking at. Yeah, and I get it. The earlier you start looking for things you want, the you'll probably get to them more faster. So it makes sense to look for things you want out of a person, but I don't know. It's just I don't know, man. It's hard. Like I never really tried to find a wife. I just always, as a young man, and I mean, I'll switch from speaking to the young women to the young men. I just always built myself, and I feel like the right woman would come along with me, and she would stick through the thick and the thin, and she would be able to deal with me. I would say the thing I look for was someone that I could completely be myself with. Like I didn't have to hide anything about myself with this person. And that was big to me. That's what kind of put me there in that mind frame. But far as men, don't worry about looking for a wife or a girl. Build yourself. She will come along and find you. She will give you choosing signals, and then you'll go and feed off of that. But going back to the women, I would say the main thing you should look for in a man is honesty, ambition, and a leader. Is he a leader of himself? Because if he can't lead himself, he won't be able to lead you and the family. So, and always lie heavily on your male friends or your cousins, any males in your life when you're looking for a guy. Always go to your friends or your family and ask them their opinion and truly listen to their opinion. Because as men, we can see things in other men that you definitely can't see. So use your tools, and as far as older women still out here trying to date or whatever, you still stand a good chance because there's a lot of older men out here that's looking for older women. Like, don't feel dejected. Keep working on yourself. Men are visual. So we're gonna start with what we see. Then we go with what we smell. Then we go with your attitude. Then we go with your ambition. Men don't look for the same thing as far as a woman. But, it is a real deep conversation. I kind of leave it at that. If you want to book a session with me, I could really talk you through this thing and I can help you out get the results you want. But other than that, I'm going to pass off to my man, Ray. And, get with me.
Um, Dad, y'all both are saying some things that made me think about what else I wanted to say. It's certain questions you can ask a man. One of the questions is, uh, which stage of life are you in when it comes to dating? Are you in that notch on the belt stage, or are you trying to settle down? The notch on the belt stage, nah, you don't want to be part of that. And men have to be looking for honesty, like Dad said. You got to get a man to be honest, because one of the things about men, our word is our word is the thing. We keep our word. That's the man that doesn't. We violate the man code when we lie. So if you ask a man about certain things and he lies, you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
Let me interject there because you mean notch on the belt, meaning trying to rack up as many bodies.
Right.
So how can a guy, like if it were you, how would you get out of that mindset? Because I think growing up as men, it is about how many bodies you get.
Well, it is, and that's wrong. I'm telling you this is wrong. I'm gonna put it on the internet right now. That's the wrong way to think. Because now that I have a son, my son, that society has played this trick on men for years, for decades, for generations, for eons, making you think that your manhood is defined by how many women you sleep with. But actually, your manhood is defined by how many women you turn down. You have to be exclusive. You have to value yourself. You can't spread yourself all out there like that.
Here comes the self.
Yeah. It doesn't look good. It's not a good look.
You devalue yourself.
You devalue yourself, smashing everything. You can't do that. Don't do that. But, like I said, I'm saying this now at the height of the signal that you're getting that's wrong. You got social media, you got TV, you got all this stuff telling you the opposite of what I'm telling you. I'm telling you this. This is authentic. This is the actual truth. Whoever's out there listening to me, I love you. Social media don't out there like that. You don't have to be with a whole bunch of women to be a man. That's not a man. That's not a man.
Or conversely, women would be in a bunch of men.
Right. Well, no, we already know that's frowned upon. You know what I mean? But we always thought that was a double standard. That double standard, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Yeah. So just ask a man questions and just see how honest he's going to be with you and with himself.
Anything else?
Well, I can't think of anything else. These guys really hit the nail on the head on that one. So.
Okay.
Oh, let me say this real quick. That question was, what stage you in, notch on the belt, whatever. Ask him this question: what movie or what song makes you emotional? Ask a man that. See what happens with that. Now, that tails off the question I used to ask people: how old is the man you're dealing with? If he's like 45 and older, you just instantly, in the middle of a conversation, you say, "Did you cry when Coach Cheese died?" They're like, that's a question. Every man that has seen Cooley High cried when Coach Cheese died. If he says he didn't, he's a liar. Get away from him. So you ask a man, what song or what movie, what makes you emotional? What's the last movie you cried on? Or what song makes you cry? Just to see what he says.
All right, so you got it. And that was all good feedback by the guys, and once again, they're coming from a married person's perspective, and that's one thing that I think is good is that if you are single, especially if you're younger and single, you need to be around people that share the same likeness. Like you don't want to be, a guy or a woman around a bunch of single people, but you want to get married, or that's what you look to do, because single people have single habits, right? Last thing we want to cover in this part two, because I think that, and I've seen a lot of it on the internet before, about 50-50, money in a relationship. How do you feel about that? Now, and I saw this one guy, I can't remember because I wanted to give him a shout out. He was a content creator. But one thing he said was, because that's what I stopped doing. I stopped taking women out to these elaborate dates and stuff like that. Not saying I was a huge doing it before, but I have done it. So I would say something like, hey, meet me at the corner bakery. I know some of y'all look and say, hey, that's terrible. But still, because what he was saying is that guys, when they meet a woman, they really want to get to know them. When a woman meets a man or a guy approaches a woman and gets her number, a woman can be around men that she doesn't necessarily like, that she's not attracted to. And a lot of times she just may be looking for a meal. And I really thought about that. And I said, yeah, because why should I have to take you out to a $200 dinner to show that you like me? And at the end of it, you wonder why a guy wants to, have fun with you at the end of that. So I just want to throw that out there, see what the guys feel about that. I know they may come from a different perspective because they're married, but let's just see how they feel.
Okay, so I would say just to have a little context, I consider myself a provider male. So my outlook on it different. I always kind of been like that, but to put an actual physical number on it, which you should look for, I would say 70-30 is a real physical number that any man should look at or look forward to paying if you want to be in a cohabitating or a marriage type situation. If you want to do 50-50, if you're single and you're trying to make it work, it's kind of on you. I don't enforce my views on anybody, but that's just me. I'm fortunate, I'm blessed, and I take care of mine personally. So I don't know. I can't, I really don't. If I wasn't in the situation I'm in, I would be 100 by myself. So that's kind of how I look at it. Now, my religion or how I feel about things, I believe that women should work and help the man. You know, if you're married, she's a helpmeet. If you playing marriage, playing house, she's still playing to help me. So I believe she should be responsible for some things. To say that half and half, I mean, to each his own, but it's just not me.
But what about if you're just casually dating? You know, you're dating people. You know, do you feel like you should always pay when you guys go out? Say you've been dating for 5 or 6 months.
Once again, the provider in me, I might buy the bar on a random, it depends on my situation. If I'm broke at the time or I'm not as well off, I probably won't even go out. You know, I'm a Netflix type of guy. Like you, you chill. So those type things. But if I doing what I do and I'm winning, I'm going to treat you. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm going to pay everything. I'm going to pay for the date. You know, if you want me to buy you something, that's just me. Like, I don't know, maybe it's from having kids for so long out my life. Even when I was younger, my little brothers and sisters, I used to work, make money. I would always, I don't know, just kind of raise my nephews. My sister dropped them off at the house, and it was like, I always been like that. Like, so I'm gonna pass.
As a man in this society, we talked about things that are like cliche-ish, and you've been conditioned by tradition to do certain things. The man's supposed to take care of stuff, So it's like you go out, you date, you're supposed to pay for stuff. You're supposed to just to show the woman that you are to set up a. You take them out, you pay for stuff, and that's how it's supposed to go. But actually, what you're doing is you're creating an image of you being the guy that's going to pay for stuff all the time. And if you buy into that, that's what you're going to have to do. Back to when I met my wife, the second thing she did to let me know that she was cool was when she was all right with sneaking food in the movies. That was my thing. You know what I mean? And when she was with that, I'm like, okay. But if she was like, oh no, you got to take me out to so-and-so first, we might not even be talking about her.
Right.
So the thing is, if you're out there, you're dating, you're gonna play that dating. If you're gonna play the dating game the way it's traditionally been played, you're gonna have to play the whole time. You can't have the cookies within and not the crumbs too.
Exactly.
So I mean, I can't really speak on that, not because I'm married, but when I was dating, I always thought it was like, I just did it because that was the thing to do. But in actuality, honestly, women outnumber men. Why are we taking them out and then winding and dining them? It should be the reverse, right? But it's not.
They got what we want, right?
But we got what they want too. They want to feel like somebody wants them. So we got to, and we got to pay for that.
Let me ask you a question too, and this for all of us. Will, did you want to chime in on that?
No, I like the direction he's going.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.
This is the way I've kind of felt. Do you feel like women like money more than men?
Yes.
No. Well, I mean,
I think they like the gesture of a man doing these things that makes them feel wanted. It makes them feel desired.
So money makes them feel desired.
Yeah. Well, the of spending the money, you can get them what they want, however you're going to get it. But if a guy's willing to spend the money, they feel like, okay, he must like me. I'm special because he's spending money. But what they really don't realize, like I do this all the time. I'm supposed to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to switch the pitch up here for 2 seconds. So I was, I listened to both of y'all. Great comments. But I'm just going to take one out of Chris Rock book. He was saying, like, when you meet a woman, the first thing, your guys ask, I met a man, this another. What's the first thing you're going to ask her?
What she look like?
What she look like? That's exactly what you're going to ask.
Right.
When a woman talks to her about her girlfriends and this, that, and the other, what's the first question that they ask her?
What do we do?
What do he do? So that's what I'm talking about as far as when the money comes into play. They don't ask, well, what's he this and other? What do he do? You know what I mean? Depending on what what he talk about or what he do, you're gonna get that or oh. You're gonna get an O or O. You see what I'm saying? You know, that's what, you know, I think that my man Greg was saying about that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, does those money, you know, does the money make the man or does the man make the money?
Well, anybody want to finish off? This is you love talking. Yeah, go.
Look, Greg, I think you need to book a session. You need to be my first.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He said, "Does the man make the money, or does the money make the man?" I would say one without the other equals a loss. You gotta have a man first. The man make the money don't make the man. Too much man, not enough money is a bad thing. Too much money and not enough man is also a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'll leave it right here. That's where my man slogan come in. Live life, don't let life live you. That's right. Live life. Don't let life beat life. Don't let life beat you. Because a lot of y'all is being beat the fuck up by life.
Hey, sorry that he put that F-bomb in there, but that's okay. We'll try to edit it out. But yo, just want to thank my guys. Will just stepped off again. Want to thank him again. And don't worry, this is just the beginning of this. So we're going to have more dates and more times, and I will let you know. But as Des was trying to say, live life. Don't let life live you.